Hello everybody, this is Faria Arsh here. I hope you all are well. I thought I'm gonna come here and talk a little bit about Azra Creations and how it has been 3 years this month since Azra Creation was born, and I'm ever so grateful to all the customers and everybody out there who has supported me and my business. So thank you so much. And I just want to highlight what an amazing journey this has been. I have made amazing friends, everlasting connections because of my business. I never ever thought that I will be going into a business and I'll be making things from home. That was never part of my plan. It just happened due to loads of different circumstances. I ended up doing a business from home, and that has turned out to be the best thing ever. And I named my business after my mum because, as you all know, 3 years ago I was going through a really difficult time. I was going through divorce, and it was also the midst of the pandemic, lockdown. I've got two girls. One was 15 and Afia was, I think she was only 11 or 12. And Afia's got severe autism and loads of other additional needs. And things were just really tough for me. And my mum came here from India, especially to look after me. And basically, all of these things combined that led to mental health issues. I was severely depressed. I was anxious. I was having panic attacks quite often. And prior to me experiencing mental health conditions, I thought I'm not one of those people who is ever going to experience anything like this. Saying that, I always had empathy. I always, tried to understand what anybody else was going through. So I was never judgmental towards anybody who was going through any sort of mental health conditions or who was going through difficulties. I was never judgmental and I always had empathy towards them. But I thought, well, I've got tough skin and I can get through anything. And guess what? I couldn't get through anything. And whether it's circumstantial or whether it's a natural imbalance of chemicals in your brain, whatever the reason is, regardless of the reason of the onset of mental health conditions, whether it's anxiety, depression, panic attacks, or it's anything else, doesn't matter what the reason is. Anybody can go through mental health conditions at any point in time. So nobody is safe from that. Nobody, like I used to think, well, maybe I'm not going to be going through that ever in my life. Obviously, I was very naive and I didn't realize that, nobody is immune to mental health conditions. Anybody can suffer from any of the mental health conditions at any time during their lifetime. So what I have learned is that once you are in the midst of anxiety, depression, panic attacks, or whatever it is, it's up to you whether you want to get out of it or not. And it's easier said than done, of course. And that's what I was feeling at that time. Like, yeah, it's up to me to get out of this, but how do I get out of this? It's a vicious cycle. With depression, you don't have any motivation to do anything. With anxiety, when you want to do anything, your anxiety is kicking in and you're not able to do that. Obviously, panic attacks is part of anxiety because you're concerned what's going to happen, and then panic attack sets in. So how do you get out of this vicious and horrible cycle of wanting to do something but not being able to do it? And it's not just that mental health conditions affect your brain, it affects your whole body. I was putting on weight, I was not able to look after myself, I looked a lot different to what I usually looked. That I wasn't really concerned about, the how I was looking, because that was the least of my concerns, to be honest. But but it affects your whole body. It doesn't just affect your mental health, it affects your physical health, because you're not able to look after yourself or look after your physical health, and your physical health side of things go downhill as well. So mental health conditions can have quite significant effect on a person if they're going through that. And the worst part that I find is the stigma attached to mental health conditions. So, me being from an Asian background, me being Muslim, doesn't matter which part of the world you live in, there's always stigma attached to mental health conditions. But when you're coming from South Asian background, there's more stigma attached, because the minute you say, oh, I've got anxiety or depression, people go, oh, that girl's crazy. Oh, that girl, oh, she's never gonna get married again. Or that girl, she's crazy or something. People have these assumptions and people give you these labels of crazy, which is outrageous, to be honest. And people start calling you names, people start talking behind your back. And the minute you say, oh, I'm seeking help, I am on antidepressants and I'm seeking therapy, oh, that's it then. That's it. You are certified crazy, basically, if you are seeking help. So that's how bad it is. People basically call you names. They don't empathize with you. They don't realize what impact that is going to have on you, because you are now not just going through mental health conditions, but you are also having to face the stigma. You're also having to face the judgmental looks, the judgments coming from them. You're also having to face everything else that comes from the community around you and the stigma attached to it. So then you get into this vicious cycle even more, because now you are not just a prisoner of the mental health conditions, but you are also a prisoner of the society that you live in. And there are only very, very few people who will come to you and say, look, whatever you need, we are here to help. Obviously everybody has good intentions, but maybe it may not be coming across that way. It's a really, really difficult one, because, and how do you know that you have, or you're going through mental health conditions? I didn't even know what the symptoms were. I was really tired all the time. I was just really tired. I was struggling to get out of bed. I reached a point where I literally couldn't get out of bed. And even when I managed to get out of bed, I pulled myself out. I had no motivation to do anything. I was just there. So a lot of us are actually missing the signs of any kind of mental health conditions that we may have. What are the signs? I'm not going to tell you what the signs are. I'm not an expert. I don't have the qualifications of a psychologist or a psychiatrist to give you that knowledge. Everything is available online. Go and do your research. But what I would tell you here today is, first of all, recognize the signs. Are you having a lot of mood swings? Are you tired a lot of the times? Whatever the signs are, go through the checklist and identify, do you have any of these? And if you do, what can you do next? Do you want to be stuck in that vicious cycle, or do you want to get out of it? And the only way to get out of it is if you seek help, whether it's medication or therapy or other ways. I don't know. I can only tell you the two things that I seeked was medication and therapy. Now, there's a lot of stigma around medication. A lot of people don't want to try medication. They think they are going to be dependent on medication for the rest of their lives, and they will never be able to get out of that. Again, that's a myth. I was on antidepressants for at least, I would say, 2 years. And then there's a very, very specific way that when you do want to stop your medication, consult your GP, consult your medical practitioner, and then they will give you a very specific way of how to come off those medication so that you can. Okay, you can't just stop them. You can't just think, oh, this morning I've been on antidepressants for 2 years, I'm feeling fine, I'm not going to take them anymore. It doesn't work like that, because if you do that, it's going to have a very, very bad impact on you, and you may go back to square one, being really anxious and depressed. So you don't want to do that. You do not ever want to stop your medicines just like that. You have to follow your medical practitioner's advice. So they'll give you a way of how to stop them. Follow that. That's what I did. And the benefit I found when I started taking the medication. So for the first 4, 5, or 6 weeks, I felt worse. So my symptoms were more exaggerated. And that is the time a lot of people give up on medication. That is the time people go, oh, well, it's not making me feel any better. It's making me feel worse. What's the point of these medicines? I'm not going to take them anymore. That is the point that you need to stick to it and complete your dose of 6 weeks, 7 weeks, because by that time, the side effects will start subsiding, and then you will start seeing the benefits of antidepressants. They actually work. They really work, because the main thing that I found was after 6, 7 weeks, when my side effects were subsiding, I was able to function better. I was able to do things that I could do before I had these symptoms. The brain fog had lifted. I was able to think properly. I was able to analyze things like I usually do. I was able to think objectively like I usually do. I was able to process things. So if anybody was telling me something before the medication, I wasn't able to process that properly. And I wasn't understanding what was happening properly. Okay. So anxiety and depression can also have an effect on how you process things. It's very important. You may be misunderstanding some information, which is key for you to get better. So you have to push through those 6, 7 weeks of taking these medicines, so that when you come on the other side of 6, 7 weeks, when the side effects have subsided, that's when you will start seeing the benefits. And I knew that I had to seek therapy as well, because I knew medication wasn't the answer for everything. But without medication, I wasn't able to process what my therapist was telling me. That's why I say these two go hand in hand. I'm not saying, again, I'm not a medical practitioner. I can't tell you to go and get meds or for anti-anxiety or any of that. If your GP is prescribing you them, take it. See for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, how you get on, and then take it from there. So before my side effects subsided, whatever the therapist was telling me or the tips she was giving me, I wasn't able to process that information properly. But as soon as my side effects had subsided and I was able to think objectively, I was able to process more information and process it properly, I was able to understand what the therapist was telling me. I was able to implement those strategies in my life so that I could get better, and so on. And then I was out of that vicious cycle of the negative vicious cycle. Then I was on a positive pathway. I was finally out of that cycle of negativity. And then once you step out of it, once you step in the right direction, that's it. That's all you need. And it's going to be, slow. For some, it's going to be a slow journey. For some, it's going to be a very quick recovery. Everybody's different. But you need to decide that you want to get out of this vicious negative cycle. And then you want to be on the other side of it. And it's only you who can decide to do this. And it's only you who can help yourself. Nobody else can help you. It's you. So if you feel that you have anxiety, depression, or any other mental health conditions, please seek help. Please listen to the experts. And if you have been prescribed antidepressants, take them for 6 to 7 weeks and just ride through the side effects, because they do subside generally after 6 weeks. I'm going to end it here. I'm not going to go on forever. I just want you to know that there is help available, okay? You will not be stuck in this negative vicious cycle for the rest of your life. It's easier for me to say, but at the same time, I'm going to tell you now, I've been through it. I've been through the worst. As I said, I couldn't get out of bed. My panic attacks were way too frequent, and my anxiety and my depression was just horrible. So please seek help and get better so that you can be you again. Take care. Bye.